You often hear people tell you to start investing as early as possible, but not many will actually share with you the things you need to get done to get right before you start putting your money into any form of investments at all. After almost 2 years of figuring things out on my own, let me share with you what I wished I knew before I started my investment journey. Let's dive straight into today's video. Let's go. The first thing I get sorted is having my emergency funds build up. Emergency funds are anywhere between 3 to 6 months of your income or your expenses stashed in a high-yield savings account with the banks. This provides you some form of safety, some form of liquidity should anything go wrong. Some of you might not understand the importance of having an emergency funds, but place yourself in a scenario like this. Imagine waking up one morning and you open up your investment broker app, for example, Moomoo Singapore, and you saw your portfolio drop 30%, 50%. You went into office that same morning and you've received news that you've gotten laid off at your job with 1 month notice maybe. In your bank account, because you have invested everything, you're only probably left with 300, 500 before your next paycheck comes in. With no job lined up next, what are you going to do? The only choice you probably will have is to liquidate your investments at a loss. So how then can we prepare ourselves to stay invested for the long term? Is by having sufficient cash set aside for when stuff like this happens. By having this amount of cash set aside, you do not have to liquidate your investments and you can stay invested for the long term. From the book The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, he has this quote that I really love. More than I want big returns, I want to be financially unbreakable. And if I'm unbreakable, I actually think I'll get the biggest returns because I'll be able to stick around long enough for compounding to work wonders. And if you have not heard this quote from Albert Einstein, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. So if you're not done building up this pot just yet, then don't start investing. Build up whatever emergency funds that you need. In the meantime, also do your research on what kind of investments do you want to do. I'll touch a little bit more about this education portion later on in this video. Point number 2 is to get your insurance protection sorted. Get it sorted so that you know how much premiums you have to pay for annually. The basic protection needs like your hospitalization insurance. Get protected so that in the event that you go into the hospital, insurers will pay for most of your medical bills and you only have to fork out a little bit in cash. Get protected on your life if people are dependent on you so that if anything happens, they still get a lump sum payout from the insurers. Critical illness coverage is also important because you never know what is going to happen, and if anything does happen, at least you receive a lump sum for anything that you might need during that period of time. Point number 3 is to know the ins and outs of your money. Sit down, pull out an Excel sheet, type in how much do you take home every single month, minus away your fixed expenses, things like your insurance premiums, your allowance to your parents, your phone bills, utilities, and also include your variable expenses, things like food, entertainment, transport, etc. Then you know how much you're left with every single month, and it's how much you can allocate into the investments that you're going to do. Lastly, point number 4 is to know your risk appetite. Knowing your risk appetite will guide you towards the kind of portfolio you're looking to build. Investing isn't all just about buying one stock or investing it all into the S&P 500 index funds. You got to diversify. It depends on what your risk appetite is and in your current phase of life, what are you facing? For example, I'm single, 28 years old, no liabilities, and I'm self-employed, which also means that my monthly income is really unstable. With all that in mind, I keep more emergency funds than the regular 3 to 6 months of your income or expenses. This allows me to go to bed at night knowing that I can stay invested because I have spare cash to get by in the event of months that I don't earn as much, or in the event that something happens and I need that cash. I'm also relatively risk averse by nature, but I'm trying to take on more risk just because, number 1, I'm young and I have no liabilities right now. With all this in mind, as you know your risk appetite, you can then start to study what to invest in and what kind of portfolio you want to build. I started with bonds, all thanks to my dad who imparted his knowledge to us at the age of 18. Bonds are a great way to diversify your entire investment portfolio, providing a fixed income from the coupons paid out from the company either semi-annually or annually. This used to be 100% of what I invested into at the age of 18, 19 years old. As I didn't have other investment knowledge, neither did I have any interest when it comes to investing. Today at age 28, my portfolio is entirely different. I have 40% invested in bonds, roughly about 7 to 8% invested in the index fund, the S&P 500 index fund particularly, and about 52% in stocks. Many of you would say that at this age, at 28 years old, I'm taking very little risk, even though I could invest into things that is riskier. I'm trying to move into that, but nobody can tell me otherwise, because as long as I'm able to go to bed at night and it's what I'm comfortable with, this portfolio suits me, that's all that matters. These are the 4 things I do step by step before starting to invest. Number 1 is to build your emergency funds. Number 2 is to get your insurance sorted. Number 3 is to know the ins and outs of your money, just so you can find out how much can you invest monthly once you start. Number 4 is know your risk appetite, so you can determine the kind of portfolio you are looking to build. I hope with this video it helps any one of you out there who are beginners to your investment journey. If you have any more topics you'd like me to cover, if you have any questions at all, my Instagram DMs is always open, and that's all I have for today's video. If you have any comments, leave it down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.